Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Right on, Mike. Thank you for being with me. How are you doing?
Denny, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be with you. It's great to
It
be
will
with
be
you.
an absolute joy because I saw the resume. It's quite something. The program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? And how did you know that this was the way to go? So, Mike, tell us what you do for a living, please.
Well, what I do for a living is I am an executive coach and a trainer. I help people improve their ability to lead themselves and other people. I do that through a vehicle called Right Path Enterprises, which is a coaching, consulting, training company. And my wife is a partner in that company as well. We work with nonprofits, for-profits, educational institutions, governmental agencies to really just help people be better leaders and help organizations. And I'm also a certified financial planner. I run Kelly Financial Planning. I help people make smarter life and financial decisions. And the way I work is hourly, fee only, financial planning advice. I don't sell product. I don't receive commissions from brokerage houses or mutual fund companies. I charge my clients an hourly rate for my services. And I'm also a board director for nonprofit and for-profit boards. I enjoy that work as well. How did I get here, Denny?
Yeah, that's because you covered a lot. So, were you like walking on the street one day and you were like, let me be a coach and an advisor and a financial analyst and so on and so forth? Or was there anything else before that?
Yeah, sometimes it feels like that, Denny, like it all
It
just
does.
happened, but it did not. It was a lot of work over the years. Yeah, I work with a couple companies, pretty big companies, Michelin, based out of Clermont in France. I worked for them for 15, 16 years. And I also worked for Macy's, the department store in the States, as a vice president, leading
Those
a
are
team.
remarkably big names.
Yeah, leading a team of people across the country. But during that time, working for both, I got experience in marketing, sales, finance, HR, did some international project management work. And the thing I realized is that the thing that was so consistent was people. If people felt like they mattered, if they were growing, they contributed to the results of the organization in a huge way. But if they didn't feel like they mattered, if they didn't have a sense of purpose, oftentimes people just didn't work as hard as they could have or should have because they didn't feel a sense of purpose. So I saw that, and I also saw that people were making poor decisions with their money. They're making good money, but they didn't know what to do with the money. So I saw these things, and I thought over time, I want to find a way to help solve some of these things. Did some of that as a coach internally with those companies, coaching people. But also I saw I wanted to start a business focused on helping people in this area of life, leadership, and money. And over time, I started to read everything I could get my hands on, talk to people who were in the business doing what I wanted to do. And also I talked to people who could potentially become clients to just get a better feel of some of the opportunities that were there to help them. And lo and behold, as I walked away from Macy's in 2016 to volunteer, really, I'm a member of the Rotary Club and some other organizations, but to volunteer to start my businesses, things have evolved over the last few years, and it's been a fun ride. I'm enjoying it very much, Denny.
I'm very glad that you mentioned when the employees feel appreciated and so on and so forth. I don't have it in me. I just read it a few weeks ago, a statistics that says that salary is like seventh or eighth reason for employees to leave the company. It's not number one or number two. So they mostly at number one, number two, like being appreciated, your work matters, and so on and so forth. So definitely you are on the right track.
Yeah, and I agree with those statistics. People don't quit companies; they quit bosses, poor leaders, in my opinion. So as leaders, we've got to look in the mirror and be better, and that's what I get to help leaders with.
I remember when I used to work for Hewlett Packard, and I quit, but the salary was fine and the management was fine, everything was fine, but they moved the office so far away, and it was a terrible road. I had to make jokes that during the winter when we're out of the subway and everything's covered in snow, and we used to look like an Arabic family because I'm walking over there across the snow, and my female colleagues were behind me, all in one row. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, that movement of the office was quite something.
Yeah.
And my third question is a little bit odd, and it's how did you know that this was the way to go? And the reason I'm asking, I'm pretty sure you've noticed that too. People just start going to colleges and universities because of that stigma. You have to have a diploma to secure your future, which is not true. And I can tell because I have a diploma, I have a master's degree and everything. I'm about to do a PhD, so I'm not against universities and academic studies in general because people keep on bashing me about it, but I'm not. I'm just highlighting the fact that a lot of people are going over there because simply of that stigma, and you can actually get a lot of knowledge from internet courses or other type of courses, alternative courses. And it's not even about the money. I know that sometimes in the US, and please correct me when I'm wrong, but sometimes in the US, education can be a little bit over expensive. Like here in Europe, things aren't like that. Like my batch, I graduated a private college. I worked as a bartender, and I was able to pay for my semester and everything. So it was, and that was a private one. When I started in Denmark, well, the education is free in Denmark, and now my PhD is like about 470 or 480 euro, which is like $500 or something per year, and so it's affordable.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I know that in the US sometimes it's a little bit more expensive than that, but it's not really about the money because you've lost money. I'm sure I've lost money too. Everybody lost money. Yeah. It's about the time, because I really don't like the fact that people are losing their times over there. And once you start something that is clearly not for you, and then they work something that is clearly not for them, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I'm seeing and from what I'm hearing, it's impossible for a man or a woman to do something between 8 and 10 hours a day, and that it's clearly not for them, and not to be a miserable person. You're always going to be miserable if you're not doing your own thing. That's, of course, my observation.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
how did you know that this was the way to go?
Yeah, you said a lot there, Denny. I got an understanding of purpose during my time in corporate America. I was working, I enjoyed what I did, but all I was doing was working. And I was working to achieve something that I hadn't really defined success for myself. So I put in a lot of hours, I worked really hard, loved what I did, but I was killing myself. I gained 30 pounds, wasn't sleeping well.
I was about to say, you look tremendous now. you look remarkable.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Denny. But it took hitting a wall in order for me to step back and think about, what do I really want and who am I? That led me on a journey of thinking of my life as if I was 100 years old, looking back over my life. What do I want to see? I had to get that picture in my mind. What is my life all about? And once I did that, I realized that I've got a purpose. There's a purpose for me to be on this earth for the short period of time, which is a word you mentioned, that I'm here. How do I live aligned with that purpose? And my purpose is to help people grow to become all they're designed to be while continuing to grow myself.
Do you remember how old were you when you started thinking about it?
About 35. It had crossed my mind, but it really started to hit me after I hit a wall, and I realized I needed to change my life. Anyway, I came up with, went through some processes, did some reading, did some studying, talked to people who'd been on a journey of their own. And then I started to really set some goals around the important areas of my life. For example, once I was clear on my purpose and I had a vision of what I wanted my life to be, what I wanted to do in my life, then I thought about the areas of faith, family, fitness, finances, fun, firm, friends. How do I set goals in those areas aligned with my mission statement? And how do I spend my time in those areas in a way that's going to move me towards what matters most to me? And once I started to get that and started to take steps, I didn't work as hard, but I accomplished so much more. And I had more joy, Danny. I had more peace. It was more fun. And ultimately, I realized that I had the opportunity to help other people who were on that same path, people who were showing up every day for a job, but they had really quit, but they stayed on the payroll and got a paycheck, but they weren't doing as much as they could, and they weren't really fulfilling their potential. So that's why I do what I do. It's really to help unleash people at the end of the day, because time, two things. There's a quote by, I think it's a guy named Lewis Carroll. He says, time is the coin of your life. It's the only coin you have, and only you can determine how it will be spent. Be careful lest other people spend it for you. So we got to be intentional about how we are spending our time.
That's, and you said one other thing. Insanely simple and insanely wise. If you wise. I never actually thought of that. Remarkably wise.
It is wise, but hard to do unless we get help sometime, Denny. So hiring a coach, listening to Denny's podcast, talking to other people who are doing things that can be helpful to us and learning from them can be a powerful thing I've learned over the years.
I couldn't agree more. And I just want your opinion on this one. From what I've noticed, and in me as well, because all of the diplomas and everything aside, I'm always interested in something else, right? So I went to this course for CCNA, network architecturing of Cisco, and I passed it. It was fairly easy, and then I started working on it, and it had that solid hardware architect. It sounds pretty good, right? And I hated every single second of that time. I was ridiculously miserable. It was like I was in hell, and like I was my own inquisitor when I was in hell. That was the feeling, and I couldn't leave the company because of that ring in your like a hardware architect. And literally nobody cared about it. It was all in my mind, but it's frightening to see how many people, just like you said, are over there every day hating on it and just a paycheck for paycheck without actually joy. I loved when you said that you didn't work as hard as that, but you did what you did, and that was for you. That period, especially now in November, when you put an old glove on your head and it's just perfect, like it's made for you. I think that was a feeling. So that was a remarkable thing that you just said.
Yeah, yeah. And we can all get there, Denny, but we've got to define what success is for us. And so often in the world in general, when we think of success, it's often like Ron Jensen, this guy out of California, says, it's power, prosperity, power, prosperity, pleasure, prestige, power, prosperity, prestige, pleasure, position. And those things in and of themselves are nice, but they won't give us the happiness and fulfillment that you just talked about. We've got to step back and think. We got to think. And then we've got to take action intentionally, in my opinion. Because
No,
you're right,
I'll
living
agree
someone else's
100%.
life is not good.
And you are truly a perfect example, and I'm really happy to have you here, because that's exactly what it is. I had a supervisor of mine on I think my first or second job. I don't remember because it was a while ago now. He works sometimes there was a situation where he was in the office for about 20 hours.
Wow.
That's a lot, yeah. And he had a heart attack. And yeah, so I went over there to see him. I said, hey, how you doing? They're doing great. So that's very interesting. Normally when people have heart attack, that's not the answer you're receiving, right? I actually had like it was 3 or 4 days after the operation, everything. It wasn't immediately. He said, pretty good 3 or 4 days, because I get to sleep more. I get to just lay in bed, watch TV. It took you a heart attack to get a few days off. I would have hit him, but I don't think it was necessary. The damage he did to himself already was much more than I could have ever done.
What did you learn from that, Denny? What did you learn from that experience?
To take it easy, and also I'm the podcast here aside, I work in Cargill. I'm a freight audit specialist. I've been in finance all my life. That's what I studied in high school, university. So I know what I'm talking about. But I figured it out when I was 16. And this podcast aside, in Cargill, we have this coffee talk with leaders every month. Every month, the leadership, finance, transport, they all get together with me. I'm doing an interview with them every single month. And I love it how most of the time this has been highlighted like it's a job. You can be the greatest employee ever. And if you happen to, leave or something else, you can be replaced and almost no one will notice the difference. Doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how quote unquote loved you are in the office, because it's just like that. And I know it sounds grotesque and ugly, but it's true. If you really think about it, that's true. And I also have a little bit of a problem with what you said when you said that you were 35 and you figured it out and then you accomplished all of it, because you look like you're 36. So I find it hard to believe you did all that in 1 year. But if you did that, that's pretty good, really remarkable in 1 year.
Yeah, it wasn't 1 year, Denny. I started to get a realization. Our internet, 35-ish, And then over time, and I'm continuing to learn. I haven't gotten it all figured out. I continued to learn, but I started to take more intentional steps. And I will tell you, part of that was failure. You know,
Yeah.
I've learned most of my life from things that have gone wrong. When I was willing to take steps that stretched me, and maybe I made a mistake, but I stopped and I thought about it. Can I learn from this? That's why I asked you, what did you learn from going to see your friend who had a heart attack? Because we can learn from things that go wrong in our lives, but also if we listen, we can learn from things that go wrong in the lives of others. So that journey for me continues. I haven't got it all figured out, but I'm thankful that I got the awareness at that point, which was most important.
Learning from someone else's mistake is always much cheaper. That's literally what I'm trying to. I even we have those programs here, mentor mentee program. So I'm with this guy now, a young guy, tremendous, very smart, very educated, very intelligent, nothing like me when I was his age. So I actually prepared a lot of examples when I failed, because he doesn't want, I mean, he wanted, but I didn't want him to tell him how great I did here and there, because it doesn't matter where I screwed up. Now that was pretty interesting. I loved it when you said that you're still figuring out, you're still learning.
Yeah.
There's this, excuse me, quote of Picasso. Pablo Picasso went to Spain. He went to a cave over there, and there were these caveman drawings of elephants, tigers, and everything. Looked at them and said, oh, so that has been so long ago, and we haven't learned anything new, neither how to write, neither how to draw. And that's from Picasso, right? So that was pretty fascinating. It's a never-ending process, but it's a fun one process.
Yes, yes. And it takes humility, right? It takes humility to
Yes.
step back and be transparent and say, I don't know, and be willing to ask someone. And more importantly, when they're sharing with you, one of the things I've learned is to be able to listen well. There's a quote, I can't remember whose quote this who shared this quote originally, but it is, wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you would rather have talked.
Amazing.
Listening.
I'm gonna name the episode that. That's how it's going to be named.
We got to listen well. If we listen well, we can learn so much. And I continue to practice that even today, just listening and learning and processing what I've heard.
I encourage young people not to get tattoos, but if they are to get one, it should be that one. It should be that quote. That might save a lot of time and trouble. With that said, Mike, if you happen to have a bit of an advice, because you already gave so much, but if you happen to give specifically for the target group, which is mostly people that are in that situation, they are in a specific place, but it's not really for them, and they're looking for alternatives, what can it be?
It would be two things. Think about what you want, why you want it, what are you willing to do to get it, who's going to hold you accountable for getting it, how will you feel when you get it. Think about what you want and get help on the journey. That is so important. The other thing I would say that I find lacking in many respects for many of us is very few of us operate or live on mission. When we think about mission, we often think about a company. For example, Denny, your company probably has a mission statement that is prominently displayed in the organization. Every company I've worked for has had a mission statement. In my opinion, each one of us should have a personal mission statement that aligns with what we want in life and who we are and our purpose. And I would say, if to your listeners, think about what you want, why you want it, what are you willing to do to get it, what it's going to take, how we feel, but create a personal mission statement. My personal mission statement is to use my God-given leadership, analytical, financial skills to help my family and others grow to become all they designed to be, while continuing to grow myself. Create a mission statement and set goals aligned with that mission statement in the very important areas of life. And at the end of your life, when it comes to what success is for you, you'll realize that it's much more than what you receive. It's what you've given.
That's perfect. You completely lost the entire audience that works for the government when you said, think who's gonna keep me accountable. They're gonna sit there and laugh and just they don't even know what it is. I should Google it. I'll put the link in the description below, along with everything that Michael has. He's gonna send me everything, will be in the description below. But yeah, that I will put the accountable thing is just for them. With that. With that's but basically I don't care who I'm talking to, you know, because I'm talking to people from everywhere.
Yeah.
Every time I make a joke about a government, everybody like, because it's the same mess everywhere. It's just so ridiculous.
That's why you're here, Danny. That's why you're doing what you do, to help us find purpose, to help us live lives that matter, and help us to be free in our
And
mind.
so do you. With
And
that
with our-
said, Mike, it was an absolute honor to have you on. Once I upload it, you're gonna have it all. Please don't forget to send me all the links and everything.
We'll do it, Danny. Thank you. Thank you again for having me. It's great to meet you.
Likewise. Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.